And I always said that when I trained as a voice coach, that I wanted to find my voice to help others find theirs. So I've been doing that for about over 10 years now. What's happened this time is that I'm going much deeper, much deeper. It's connecting much more intuitively and much more spiritually. And by that, I mean, I ask for help. Before I have any session, I ask for help.
I would like to welcome Pamela Kay to the show. Hey, Pamela, how are you?
Hi, Lisa. I'm great. Thank you. How are you?
Doing well. Thank you very much. I am excited to learn more about what you do. You bring such a captivating topic to the conversation today. But before we get into the questions, can you tell me about your life before your business? Have you always been intuitive, or did you have a surprise awakening at some point in your life?
First of all, I'd just like to say thank you very much for having me on. I'm really excited about this. So yes, did I have an awakening? Well, the thing is I've always had this thing inside me, always. So it's always been present, but I've sort of kept it in the background a lot. And growing up, I grew up with my parents being spiritualists and mediums. And they would say to me, you need to be developing this. We're being told you need to be developing this. And I would say, no, you're all right. No, it's fine. Thanks. I'm okay. However, I would always know when people would be arriving home, even if it's on public transport. And I would never worry about things because I knew that there would be no need to worry about things. All right. Get little things, but I'd never really truly developed it until a few years ago. And I thought, no, actually, this is the time, because for me, you sort of get nudges. You sort of know. Throughout my life, it's like certain things I've done, I've known I have to do. It's this sense, this feeling. I have to absolutely trust that, and I know I've got to do it. Without question. And it's exciting and it's scary because you're taking a leap of faith.
Right.
Exactly what you're doing. So you've got to do it, but you don't know how, and you don't know quite where it's going to lead, but all you know is that you've got to do it. And that's my spiritual thing. That's how it sort of comes through. So I suppose in a way it's like tapping into this intuition thing. We've all got it. But that's as far as it would go. I would just know things.
Same. Yeah.
Just know things. So a few years ago, I thought, no, this is really strong now. I really need to really develop this. Seriously develop it. So that's what I started to do, again, because I had a knowing. I was being nudged, and I thought, this is the time. I always say that there's a time for things to happen.
Right.
So I started to develop it more. And particularly in the last year and a half, 2 years, but particularly it sort of went last year, it really went.
Yeah.
And it actually felt like I was coming home. And if people hear that, they can say, that's really weird. If you talk to somebody outside, they would look at you as if you're an alien.
Right.
It's that kind of thing. But it really felt like I was coming home. And developing it more and more and being able to connect and knowing how to do it, all of these things, it just makes me feel so fulfilled.
It does.
So I suppose it's sort of a bit of both, really. You sort of get pushed if you don't take any notice.
Yeah.
They have a way of, the upstairs has a way of going, oh, we really do need to make you understand.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I remember a few years ago, I call myself class of 2020 because it was like the fall of 2019 when I really got the push. And I'm like, okay. And I akin it to being a softball player sitting in the dugout, watching everybody play in the field, and the spirit team is like, you know what? Now you're going to go out and play in the field. And I'm like, oh, okay, I guess we're doing this. But a really quick question for you, because it sounds like we kind of led similar paths when, all my life I felt like intuition wasn't a tool I could control, right? A gift I could control. I thought it was hit or miss. And then it wasn't until 2019, 2020 that I'm like, oh, I can use these as tools. Now, yeah. I could be mistaken. So maybe you can help me clarify, because this will also help the audience, I feel. And that is, I say, well, when I came out of the spiritual closet in 2019, 2020, but I feel like not necessarily disingenuous, but I don't think that's the right term to use, because it wasn't a sudden awakening for me, because I've always had it. So how would you qualify that?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, actually. Again, I think it goes back to, it almost for me feels like it's the most natural process in the world. Yeah. It's as if this is what everything has been leading up to, and you're just going to do it.
Right.
This is what it feels like to me. And you've got to leave your ego aside. Now, the ego is the fight or flight. It protects you, right. And it can control you, mm-hmm. So that was quite something to actually go, no, I absolutely trust and surrender to this, because it's something that I need to do. It just felt that at the time it was one of the most natural things to do for me. Yet for the people that were around me, it took me quite some time to actually fully say, well, you know what, I own this now. I absolutely own this. Mm-hmm. But this is me.
Right.
Now, and it always has been, except I've not let it be. Mm-hmm. This is me now. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, it is an interesting point, because I'm not sure I would call it disingenuous. I would just call it for what it is. Mm-hmm. It's a gift that's been given to us. Mm-hmm. We've all got it, but there are those of us that absolutely accept it and are willing to surrender and trust and use it. Right. And others, just every now and then they do it. For me, it just felt like a natural progression.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think, yes, to your point, I think I'm still trying to formulate the words that would make sense to others. I don't feel like I had, a blast of an awakening, although I do feel like I kind of went through a dark night of the soul, because I moved across country. I closed a chapter on my product-based business, and then I was confused and in a fog, wasn't sure what I was going to do. So I think for me, at this very moment in time, I'll just say I opened up to my gifts.
Yes. Yeah, that's it, isn't it? You open up to them. Mm-hmm. You can't possibly use them if you're closed.
Right.
That's where the ego comes in, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. It closes your mind. Mm-hmm. And I do feel where this gift is concerned, I mean, I'm always in awe of it. I'm always I always have gratitude for the fact that I have it. And I practice gratitude every single day. I'm saying thank you. I am so grateful for everything I have, and for the guidance that I've been given, for the blessings that I've been given. I am so grateful, because I am.
Yes.
But it still feels like sometimes it can feel like it's happening to somebody else. This isn't, it just feels like it's happening sometimes to somebody else, and you have to check yourself. No, actually, it's happening to you. This is you now.
Yeah.
And I'm always in awe.
Yeah.
Of what happens when I do readings for people, and I get the kind of feedback that I get, and I'm thinking, really?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
sure?
Did I get
Because
that right?
yeah, exactly. Because I have to say, I have no idea what's going to happen. Beforehand, I just ask for guidance
Mhm.
from the divine realm, from my guides, from spirit, from my loved ones. And for my angels, I ask for the guidance.
Yeah,
And I trust them to give me what I need.
absolutely.
So when I've come out, when I've come out from a reading session, and I get the kind of feedback that I've got, I just say, whoa,
Hmm.
no.
Yeah,
But you have, it is because it's coming through you.
right, right.
You know, well, sort of the conduit. It's
Yeah,
like it's a three-way conversation, isn't it?
it is. It is.
And it's sort of like almost like a triangle. It's like it's like, come
Right.
on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. Okay, so it sounds like intuition has always been a part of who you are. So let's now dive into some questions about your business. What inspired you to start your own business?
I I don't like the feeling of being hemmed in to a particular structure.
Mhm.
As I say, yes, I do like that feeling of security sometimes, but I've realized over the years I get bored. I get really bored really easily. And if I'm not using my creativity in some way, I just get so no, this isn't for me. And it's such a I've done it. I have worked um, packing tea bags. I have done when I years and years and years ago. That's what I did. I've worked in offices,
Mhm.
and I was miserable as sin. I really was miserable.
Mhm.
Well, what I loved was on the outside when I was doing, my acting and things like that, because it was that freedom of the being able to be somebody else. Of course, you hide behind people when you're acting. You're not yourself.
Right.
See, this is the other thing, the other journey that's been going on,
Mhm.
being yourself, actually recognizing yourself and being yourself instead of holding back. And this is what this spiritual journey has been doing to me, because it's been saying to me, you're good enough as you are. You're more than enough.
Right.
You are, it's about time you shone and you came out from behind the curtain.
Yeah.
Oddly, I was on the stage, I acted on stage, and I've been in some few short films and things like this, but it was always as somebody else, not as me.
Yes. Yes. No, you bring up a good point because that that has been my journey as well, not theater, but as a musician and as an artist. I was expressing myself through other media, but I wasn't, I feel like I was hiding.
Yes.
I could use the trumpet as a voice. I could use the
Yeah.
piano as a voice.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it gave me, it emoted feelings and
Yeah.
emotions that I couldn't articulate through the years. And so I
Yes.
would find music and art that would help me express that. So yeah,
Yes.
I totally understand where you're coming
Yeah.
from.
Yeah. So when it come to the business, as I say, I always knew I started a theatre company. It was an absolute certainty. And it was while I was on going to the train station. And suddenly I got this huge, whoa, this is what you're going to do. You know, and it sort of went on from there when I became a voice coach. Is that this is what you're going to do? It happens every now and then. This is what you're going to do. It happened with the spiritual side. The spiritual side has become a huge, huge part of what I do.
Right.
I'm a voice and accent coach, but the spiritual side, particularly since last year, I was guided. I was told by upstairs, you've got to change your name. It has to be changed. You have to redo your website. You have to. Okay. And I'd be. You sure about this? You're going to have to do it. You have to do it. Yeah. Okay. I get it. So yes. So this, what inspired me for my business is because I don't. I have to feel like I've got that freedom
Mhm.
you know, and doing this gives me that freedom. Yes, it can be feast or famine. You know, being, you know, freelance, self-employed, whatever. You get those moments, you get those times,
Mhm.
but to have that sense of this is what you are. This is what you do.
Mhm.
Don't be swayed by anyone else. You do you.
Right. Right.
You know,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and that's it. That's what inspired me. And with the spiritual element, which has really come into focus now,
Mhm.
I am so, you know, I was so excited about that. And it was this thing about, are you sure I could do this? Are you sure? So I'm, you know, you know, it's like a fusing of everything, and it really, and it has created a real niche, because I don't know any other voice coach
Mhm.
that does it quite the way I do.
As a quick question before we get into that, did you start it as a side hustle or did you jump in with both feet?
With me, it's like, no, you've got to do it. It's now or never. It's a jump in with both feet with the spiritual side. You know, this is like when I'm told I have to do something,
Yeah.
it's like, come on then, let's just go for it.
Right.
Let's just dive in. And again, it's about trusting. You don't know how it's going to happen,
Mm.
what it's going to turn out like. You've just got to trust.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been doing. Or I've just had to trust that actually I'm doing the right thing at the right time. Things are happening. And human form is impatient.
Yes.
So human form is like, oh, come on. You know, spirit form is, yeah, we've given you that kick up the backside.
Mhm.
You know, because obviously once you get the kick up the backside, it's really about inspired action.
Yeah.
You know, and but you have to know what the inspired action is.
Mhm. Mhm.
Get the messages, and it can sit with you for a while.
Yeah.
And you're impatient to know, well, come on, tell me a bit more. And sometimes they just won't.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, time and a place, time and a place.
Right. No, exactly. Exactly. So let's talk about your niche. You started to share with us how unique it is. I believe your background really started to inform your voice coaching and bringing in the intuition and the empath part. So let's talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, well, the thing is, as a voice coach, you have to have a connection anyway. You're teaching or coaching people to connect to their voices,
Mhm.
and you get to know how to do that and take them on their voice journey
Mhm.
so they can perform and they can go away with a voice that is fully workable. They know how to take care of it. They're armed with a little toolkit of exercises that they can do to keep their voices on track. Because let's face it, it's an instrument, and
Mhm.
it's something we take for granted until something goes wrong with it. So you have to do it in such a way that they understand everything about it, everything.
Mhm.
And that means all the technical aspects as well as the practical aspects, but you lean more towards the practical aspects because it's experiential. You
Right.
have to experience it. You have to experience this connection. So that's fine. That's great because it's wonderful. It's a wonderful thing to do, you know. And I always said that when I trained as a voice coach, that I wanted to find my voice to help others find theirs. So
Right.
I've been doing that for about well over 10 years now. What's happened this time is that I'm going much deeper, much deeper. It's connecting much more intuitively and much more spiritually. And by that I mean I ask for help.
Mhm.
Before I have any session, I ask for help. When I'm doing a session, yes, it can be planned, but it can go off in a completely different way.
Right.
Still getting back to where we need to be,
Mhm.
but I'm being guided in such a way that it's connecting people much more deeply and spiritually. When I teach people voice, you have to get them to relax because any tension anywhere affects the voice anywhere.
Absolutely.
Everybody keeps the score. So we go through that, but what's happening now is that I'm being guided to go right inside so deeply, connect to all the chakra energy points, which is you wouldn't normally do if you were doing a voice, you wouldn't normally do.
Right.
I go in and I connect, I get them all to connect, no matter who it is, whether they're drama students or whether they're individual people, anyone. I get them all to connect much more deeply and go inside. And I get wow, I went to a different place. I could hear your voice, but I just went somewhere else completely. And I could really feel everything, because I asked them, what are they really feeling? What are they connecting to? What can they see? And remember that, because when you're acting, or you have to portray emotions. They can go back into that really very quickly, knowing that they've gone more deeply inside, and more intuitively inside, and more spiritually inside. And I have been told that these meditations can be quite trippy.
They sound powerful. I'm giddy. I can't wait to try one of your sessions. I think that'll be.
Oh, yes. Yeah, well, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you a meditation, and I'm going to get you into there. So we could actually do a session with you connecting more deeply to yourself and to your voice. And that's the thing. This is what it's about. This relationship with your voice, it takes it much deeper than you will ever know, you will ever realize, unless you go through it, unless you do it. This relationship with your voice will change.
Fabulous.
Changes yourself as well. So that really is a niche. And also, not only that, I can draw cards before a session as well. And often they're archetype cards. And that will bring in a whole new level, a whole new depth to it, because it's something that connects to them. Even before we get going, we're going deep inside. What's all this about? I've drawn a cave card before now. What's all this about? I've been given a cave. And then it gets them really thinking. Not only are you thinking about your voice, you're thinking about what's going on inside you as well, and the psyche, and what's connecting. And it's all connected. It's incredible. It's really, really powerful.
The word exuberance comes up, and I'm not sure really how to place it, but I feel like this is going to be a game changer for anybody who's listening, and
yes,
for me as well, because I think many people, the audience who's listening, can identify with hiding behind their voice, using other instruments to place in front of their voice to hide because of visibility issues, whatever they might be. So I'm truly excited. This is going to be so
valuable. I mean, people have called it magical, absolutely magical.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the power of trusting spirit. I get, this is what you need to do with these people. This is what you need to be doing.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm trusting you, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. It feels like it's a game changer for me. A real game changer for me. My son helped me build my original website, but we changed it last year, and yet it's based in something that's old. Something that I'm already familiar with, but it's added such a hugely different dimension to it. I just cannot explain it. It's just added this wonderful, wonderful dimension to it.
No, I completely understand what you mean by that, because when my spirit team said, you need to build a business portal, you need to build a business membership online training platform. It is a portal. It's called Mystic Maker's Business Portal, but it is a place for people to step into and transform themselves as much as they want based on the lessons that are in there. And these are practical, mundane business lessons. But at the same time, I ask them to check in with themselves intuitively to see if the lesson I'm providing makes sense to them, right? Because I can show them how things are done and I can show them my experience, but then their takeaway is going to be completely different based on the other two. So it's not, this is the way to do it, but this is how typically it's done. Traditionally it's done. This is how I did it. And then you get to use that information, embody it the way it feels best for you. So,
and it's interesting you say about membership, because that's exactly what I'm planning on doing myself. Building a membership, because this is so exciting. I just feel like it would benefit people to go in there and have these practices, have sort of holding the sacred voice masterclasses sort of once a month or something like that. So this is exactly my intention to do what you're doing, building a membership.
Fabulous. Fabulous. Okay. Starting a business is a unique journey and it's different for each of us. But one thing is universal. We can't do it alone. Getting help is essential. If you're transitioning from the work world to the woo world, eager to share your magical gifts, or you've been in business for a while, but you still face challenges, I've got your back. With personalized consulting, a supportive community, and transformative productivity tools, I'm here to help you find the best path for you and your business. Click the link in the description to learn how we can co-create your magic together. Can you share one or two key spiritual practices that have been instrumental in your business growth?
Yeah, I would say, I was thinking about this because, a number of things can come in, but I would say gratitude is a key thing for me. We can't be upbeat all of the time, but if you find gratitude, even when you've had a rough day, if you find gratitude in one thing, even when you don't feel like you want to go, and you will go, well, I've got nothing to be grateful for today. It's been awful. Even when you feel like that, because we're human, this is what our life is like on earth. If you are grateful for one or two things, and I do that with my business, I'm grateful for the people that I connect to every day. It could just be a short connection. I'm grateful for that. So for where the business is concerned, and in life, it helps in business and in life. If you show gratitude for even the smallest thing, you can manifest the life that you want. And sometimes that's really difficult to do. Again, human, you've got to trust that it's there. So this idea of manifesting that your clients are going to feel really connected, manifesting that you're going to get the clients in that you need, your perfect soul clients. That I do that every day, but also every day I draw a card to say, okay, what is it I need to know today? What do I need to be aware of that's going to help me achieve my goals today?
Exactly.
There are three things there that I do every single day.
That's powerful. Thank you. So then how does your practice inform your business or vice versa?
But I think they go hand in hand. You can't separate them as far as I'm concerned. For me, it's a complete package. Yes, I did the voice coaching without the spiritual side before. I didn't know something would enhance it as much as bringing in this practice. And it's the strangest thing. I cannot imagine not doing this now.
Yeah, it's part of you now.
Exactly, it's part of me, and that's why I say, it's the whole package. One informs the other, vice versa, completely.
Yeah, absolutely. So then, how would you go about measuring success in your spiritual business? Is it purely financial, or do you prioritize client transformation? What does that look like for you?
For me, the money is lovely, but as I said, it can be feast or famine. For me, it's more to do with what that person is experiencing. It's about them saying, "Whoa, that was powerful." It's about them saying, "I feel so different now." So it is about them, the transformation and the insights that they get, because there's nothing more powerful than seeing somebody blossom. Nothing more powerful than that. With my voice coaching, before the spiritual aspect came in, I would see that anyway. However, since the spiritual aspect came in, what has gone like, whoa, that was something else kind of thing. So to see that happen and to know I've helped to do that in some way, and I've helped people to connect more, connecting themselves, connect more to their voices, change the relationship with themselves and their voices on such a personal level, that is the key. That's why you do it. That's why you do it.
Yeah. And I love that your work can change the trajectory of your client's life.
Yeah. Yeah, it can. It really can. It's not only about connecting, it actually helps them to understand why certain things have gone on. You know, it also helps them to gain more confidence in themselves. These things happen, but you can reach a plateau,
Right.
which is natural when you're going through a process. And I always say to people, everyone learns in different ways. Some things are going to drop in, some things aren't. Some things will take a little bit of time and you might not feel anything is working, and suddenly it'll go, and oh, right, okay. Yeah, you know, and that's the thing. It's something that can't be rushed. But boy, when it goes in, it goes in. You know, so that's what it is.
It's like a really good marinated red sauce.
Exactly.
That's
delicious. It's a delicious.
Yeah. I mean, and I've described some of the revelations I've had the past couple of years as being delicious, because it's like, wow, it just completely fills all of my senses. And I'm like,
yeah,
how can it get any better than this? This is incredible.
Exactly. And I often say to anyone I'm working with, okay, so taste the words that you're saying. You know, really taste them. What do they taste like? Are they sweet? Are they sour? Are they, you know, what's the texture? What is it? You know, what are these senses that are going on? If your voice was a dish, a menu, how would you place it? What would it say on the menu?
That's funny, because the last time we had this conversation, I immediately envisioned a grape. And I did it this time too. I'm like, why a grape?
Well, actually, grapes can be quite sweet, can't they? And they're quite juicy. When you break into there's a seal around them. When you go into them, you've broken the seal. So you're releasing all of those flavors. And it was the same with your voice. When you go into it, you've broken the seal. You've broken the blockage. You know, it's the same.
Yeah. That's a great analogy. I love that. Okay, so Pamela, what are some of the unique challenges you're facing in running a business that's centered on spirituality?
I think when you tell people this, they can sort of be a bit, really, yeah, you know, you're a bit, because I really do feel like it's for those people that are more closed. It's like they're not willing to be open. When I was merging the two elements, these elements, I was told that I needed to keep them separate. And I said, no, I don't need to keep them separate at all. Well, you know, it's like you're going to alienate people. Well, they're not my people if I alienate them. They're not my people. I don't want to know. I know that this is what I have to do. I know that. So any dissenting voices, you have to try and block out, because if you're told, you're guided towards doing things a certain way, then you do that. And there have been challenges, you know, people going, are you sure about this? And of course, when I started saying I am a spirit, you know, an intuitive and spiritual voice coach, which is changing the language that I use, because I'm changing the language that I use as well, some people are going to stay away. What does this mean? They're going to be really intrigued by it. And that's what I found. Some people are quite intrigued by it, and some people say, wow, somebody I trained with 10 years ago, I mean, she works as a voice coach doing that. And when I said I do readings as well, and I use it in my voice coaching, and she said, that sounds really fascinating. Other people, as I say, that's a bit too out there for me.
Too woo. It's too woo.
It's too woo, exactly. It's too woo. But I say, woo, you know, that's me.
Absolutely. It was always difficult for me before I opened up, when I was working with small businesses, And I would get these intuitive hits all the time, right? Because
Yeah.
when you are working one-on-one with their business, and many
Yeah.
times they're like, I want a website. And I'm like, okay, what do you want your website to do for you? Right?
Yeah.
What does your business look like right now? What do you want to achieve? And so I really had to get into the nitty-gritty of what their business was. And they're like, you're getting really deep. And I'm like, if you want your website to work for you,
Yeah.
we have to have this conversation. It's confidential. Yeah. Okay. So whatever you say,
yeah,
stay between us. And when they started to kind of, okay, all right. And they'd start to kind of share, then I started getting these intuitive hits, because what I've learned is that when we talk, I get the intuitive hits as they speak, right?
Yeah.
I hear what's not being said. And it was really tough for me to say, hey, I got this intuitive hit. Oh, I just got a download. You might want to, I had to say, you might want to try X. And they'd say, well, why are you saying that? Well, it's a hunch, right? And I tried not to play that card too often, but there would be times when they would challenge me, and they're like, I don't want to do that. That's not where I'm going. And I'm like, come back around. I want to show you what it could look like. And yeah, it was really difficult to open up to them and say, I can see a bigger picture for you. And so now it's like, okay, I'm an intuitive business guy and I can help you in your business. And people are like, okay, I get it. And now they expect gifts to come through. And I'm more than happy to oblige.
Yeah, exactly. Now, as I say, we are sacred beings, and then we have a sacred voice. And we have to acknowledge that. And just by using the word sacred changes everything. We are sacred human beings. We do have a sacred voice, and it deserves to be heard.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. You touched on it a little bit, but can you go into a little bit more about how you navigate some of these challenges while staying true to your spiritual practice?
The way I navigate is to be knowing that I've been given this task, this, whatever you want to call it, I've been given this for a reason. It's a challenge when you get, people that are a bit standoffish or dissenting voices. And it's also a challenge for me, inside me, because sometimes you, being human, you say, really, is this really going to work? It's having that tenacity, that resilience, and that knowing that this is what you've been called to do and this is what you have to do. That's what keeps me going, keeps me rising to the challenges, knowing that there is a reason why I've been asked to do this in this way. And I have to follow that, and I have to keep strengthening my resolve, my human resolve. At times when it doesn't feel like it's going anywhere, it's doing anything. So it's just a matter of having that resolve and literally trusting that any challenge that's there, they are surmountable and you can get over them. You have to change the way you approach things, the way you think. By being totally open and just following your light, following the message that you have to be putting out there, following direction. That's how I sort of rise to these challenges, even when my human self is going, I'm not sure this is going to work. I don't think this is going to work. How is this going to work? And the thing is, I have to check myself and say, this is happening for a reason. This is what I'm meant to be doing. This is what it's being led up to. This is why I've done all of this through my life and I've gathered all this experience. Now an extra layer is being added. Sometimes I might not feel like I'm able to cope with it or I can do it, but I have to trust that, upstairs has got my back.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Those are wise words, because I discover, like you, it's when I'm in that moment of doubt and I'm looking around for other people. And it's like when I decide I'm going to look for outside approval, and go back inward. And because the thing is, I am being the light for other people. I'm being the wayfinder. Yeah. And I have to remind myself of that. It's like, ego, remember, check yourself at the door. We are the light. We are the wayfinder for other people who who are following in behind me. And then suddenly ego's like, oh yeah, okay, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, sometimes I just need to be kicked aside.
Yeah. I almost look at ego as a dog, right? If I don't house train that dog, it's gonna all over my apartment. It's like, no, let's go to the door.
Yeah, exactly. You can imagine it as this little cartoony thing on your shoulder, and it's going like that, and you're just going, off you go, off you go, off you go.
Yep. No, exactly. Money is one of the most difficult subjects for a creative and a spiritual entrepreneur. And I know that money is only energy, and it's the power we give it is in the story that we tell. Let's talk about your story with money. How do you reconcile your spiritual practice with running a business?
You see, now this is interesting because certain things inform your attitude. We didn't have anything really. We had hand-me-downs, jumble sale clothes. I come from a big family. I'm one of 8. And it was a case of always borrowing and always having to pay rather than borrowing and borrowing. Mm-hmm. It's something I never really had. And that was my attitude because I always saw it was hard to come by because I never really had it. Mm-hmm. And that's taken a lot of work actually on my part, because I've grown up always saying, I want to make sure that people can afford what I offer. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to price myself low. And that's because of my thinking that nobody's going to be able to afford it. What happens then is that it becomes a perpetual cycle. Mm-hmm. You're constantly in lack because of it, because of the stories or what you were shown as you were growing up, not to expect it. For instance, when my parents did their spiritualist stuff, their mediumship stuff, they never got paid for it. They'd go around to the churches. But other than that, they didn't get paid to do anything. It was expected that you did it for free. Mm. And that's the thing. You're expected to do these things for free. Mm. So there's also that thing of, well, I can't possibly charge for this service. Right. How can I do that? Right. How can I possibly do that? I'm meant to just be serving for the greater good and helping people. Mm-hmm. How can I charge for that? Mm-hmm. So you're having to overcome that. You have to change your mindset. I use affirmations every single day, every day. Mm-hmm. You do it enough and they change your mindset. You start believing things. There is more than enough to go around. Of course, you're not taking something away from somebody else. You're not doing that. Mm-hmm. What you're doing is you're providing a service. So why shouldn't you get paid for providing that service?
Right. I think going back to the sentence you just said, which was, there's enough to go around. That's the programming, isn't it?
Yes.
That's what you just laddered through. I view as classism, right? Because that programming and that classism saying, well, you have to give it away for free because I said so. And I'm like, no.
Yeah. The other thing is that you don't feel you're worthy enough,
right,
to receive it.
Right.
So there's that layer on top as well. Mm-hmm. You're not worthy to receive it. You're never going to have enough. Mm-hmm. No. Mm-hmm. That's not true. You can. Yeah. You are worth it, and you can do. And of course, there's this saying, isn't it? As the Bible says, that the love of money is the root of all evil. Mm-hmm. Actually, it's not. It's not. It helps you survive. It helps you survive as an exchange.
Yeah.
Going into a shop, you don't expect to pick something up from the shelf and not pay for it.
Right.
It's the same thing.
Exactly.
You don't expect somebody to constantly give you their time, their expertise, and not expect to pay something in return.
Right.
I've had to slap myself on the wrist lots of times for this because I get into something so much. If it runs over time and we're still working on something, I don't want to leave it. It's still time that you're giving. It's still expertise that you're giving.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I've had to be quite strict with myself now and say, right, no, okay, this is what I give, this is what I do, and this is how much time.
Right.
It's so many different layers that go into this thought process, into these patterns that we have.
Exactly.
So it can be quite difficult aligning the spiritual aspect with the material aspect, because you've always been led to believe that it's something that you should give for the love of it,
right?
Because you serve a greater and higher good. So now you have to be saying to yourself, well, actually, no, I deserve to have some reward for this. So there's been that issue of me getting out of that. I need to be paid for these services. And isn't that funny? And I think it's especially where women are concerned, because of society, the way society is, we're the carers, we're the nurturers, we should be doing this anyway. We shouldn't expect anything in return. And if we do, then really you're being selfish for expecting something in return.
Right. And we're being seen as ungrateful.
Yes. And greedy. Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
So we've got all this baggage.
Yeah.
And interestingly, it's mainly women that do this kind of work.
Yes. And we internalize the programming, and then we tell other women they shouldn't be charging. And I'm like,
Exactly. It's like, no. We should be doing exactly that, because we are worth it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So Pamela, then how do you go about setting your rates?
I go in and ask what really feels comfortable for me, what can live with. I'm getting better at charging more, because before, as I say, mine were really low, really quite low. But now it's like, no, I am worth this. I'm going into myself. I ask the question, I tap in to my higher self, and the figure that comes into me naturally, quickly, is what I charge. It's all to do with connecting in to your intuition, to your higher self, asking the question.
That's a great tip.
Yeah,
that's a fabulous tip.
Yes, exactly. Because if you do that and if you've trusted messages that you've been given all this time, why wouldn't you trust that?
Right. Because we're taught to trust outsiders rather than trust ourselves to get done what needs to get done.
Yeah, exactly.
So how do you handle situations where a client that might be financially struggling but really needs your help?
I've had this before, actually. And in those cases, there have been instances where I've given a little bit of extra time where I shouldn't have done. If I feel like they're taking me for a ride, I just stop it, because they can take so much advantage. And I would say to them, okay, to make it easier, you can pay me in installments. So it's more manageable for you. I'm happy for you to do that. If they were really stuck, then I would arrange something personally with them.
Sure. Almost like a sliding scale kind of thing.
Exactly. Obviously, it doesn't happen for everyone.
Yeah. I think it's important to find the balance between valuing your services and making them accessible.
Exactly.
So, Pamela, what do you see in store for yourself in the next few years?
I feel really quite excited. As I say, I mentioned growing a membership. I work online anyway and in person. I'm thinking of actual courses online. I'm working on developing more packages. The thing I'm so excited about, because I can see things that, oh my God. And I'm in the process of writing a book called The Quiet Child. And I'm currently working on putting together a mini offer based on that, because it's also based in the voice coaching.
Right. And I want to get them done. I know. I had that moment of exuberant burst a couple of days or so ago, and I'm like, all in good time, Lisa, all in good time.
Yeah, exactly. As I say, the humanness was, come on.
Yeah. You got to sleep sometime. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it's been like. I'm thinking, I know my brain just needs to go to bed for a bit.
So, can you offer a short piece of advice for aspiring spiritual entrepreneurs?
I would say I think it's the same for all of us actually, is to trust yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It can be a really difficult thing to do. Connect to your higher self and ask the questions and you will get the answers. I meditate every day and I think that's really important. But more than anything, leave your ego to one side and you trust that voice that's in you, and you just trust. It might take you on a completely different journey to the one that you think you need to be taking, or you think you should be taking.
Right.
But if you trust that, it will work out. And that's what I've done all along. I've just trusted and just gone, okay, I'll take the leap. It's taking the leap of faith.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Pamela. Where can people find you?
Well, I have a website, which is www.intuitivelyspeaking.uk. And I am on Instagram as Pamela Kay Intuitive.
Fabulous.
So that's the way you can find me at the moment.
That's fantastic. So, do you have a special book or a program or service that you'd like to announce to the audience?
I'm actually currently, as I say, in the process of putting together a mini offer, going into your voice and connecting into your voice on a deeply intuitive and spiritual level. That is actually in the process of being put together now. That will be available because I've almost finished putting it together.
Yay.
So that is, it's like the holding the sacred voice, the beginning, holding the sacred voice, the beginning.
That sounds lovely. Pamela, thank you so much for being on the show. You're an inspiration, and I think my audience will appreciate your insights too. So thank you.
No, thank you, Lisa, for having me here. I've loved every minute.